Breaking news. A local teenager has made a horrible decision to do with his free time. Over to our food reporter, Lewis.
Thanks, Lewis. Now, as we practice, say the line. It appears I have made a very bad decision. Keep going. Bro, why do you have a gun?
Thanks, Lewis. Only time will tell what this discovery will bring.
So, I like old tech, and recently I've been messing around in an emulator for the Commodore 64, and after getting some basic programs working, I coded in Python. Let's start from the start. First, can we get a switch up? This camera quality isn't very good.
Okay, this slightly better. Come on, you can do better than that. You can do better than that. Okay, well that's better camera quality, but it doesn't really count because it's behind me. Let's try that again. Oh, finally, dude, you did your job. Thank you for actually getting it right. Okay, as I was saying, to start from the start, I built and coded and programmed and blah 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 and bug tested an AI for the Commodore 64. Now, an AI is a generic term. It's technically called a neural network. Now, the way that a neural network is that you have layers of nodes, which also could be called neurons. It's easier to call them nodes. And in between each layer of nodes, you have connections. So each node in one layer is connected to each node in the layer in front of it. And what happens is, say you take your input layer, you input your value of whatever you want to input, whether that be an X coordinate or something else. That gets fed into the next, into all of these other values. This is then multiplied by a weight, and then all of this happens for all of your inputs. It's all added together in each one, and a bias is added. And then you add some sort of scaling non-linear function like sigmoid. You would do this between your input layer and your hidden layer, and once you've done that, then your hidden layer, each node has its own value. And a cool thing is you can have as many inputs as you want, as many outputs as you want in one layer each. And you can have as many hidden layers as you want. So you can have multiple hidden layers, and those hidden layers can be as large as you want.
But we have a problem, you see, I do not own a Commodore 64. What the hell am I supposed to do to program a Commodore 64?
This is where an emulator comes in, because an emulator actually simulates the hardware of a console or a computer. In this case, it's simulating the hardware of the Commodore 64. And you can do anything you'd like to do that you could do on a Commodore 64 on here, and then once you're done, you can actually save your program to a floppy drive. So you can save it to a file on the computer, transfer that file onto a floppy drive, then you can put that floppy drive into a C64, and it's not as simple as that. You need some adapters, you need a bit more work to do, but it is decently simple. And it allows me to run projects at 8 times the speed of a normal C64. So especially when it comes to training my AI, it will be a lot faster and a lot more forgiving.
And after only just 5 generations, I had a working neural network. The only problem is it only did it once. So I fixed that. AI was functional and it could freely walk around a 20 by 20 space. There just wasn't really anything in that 20 by 20 space. So I decided to start working on adding a target, and the AI just kind of has to navigate to that target. Pretty cool.
Over the borders of our mind, 'cause today's a beautiful day. Why would anyone take that away? Can we stay? Let's just stay. It's a beautiful, wonderful day. We rode our bikes down broken streets. We chased the sun, chased the sun. The day was great, we made it shine.
You see that little green dot in the top left corner? That is the target. That's the target. And we got more color now.
Unbeknownst to me, this would be the biggest error out of the entire project. Why index 8202 so particular? I didn't know. I hadn't even written a line on index 8202. It shouldn't be getting that far along. Well, it turns out my code was overwriting itself and was going in indexes of RAM that it shouldn't have been, and wrote over itself. This was gonna take a while to fix. I didn't even think it could be fixed, because how was I supposed to rewrite every single line of code? I couldn't. So I ended up turning it off. Then I realized if I could export my program into CBM PRG Studio, I could edit my program outside of the emulator, and I might just have a chance of fixing that error. So I did. I was able to export the individual basic file and then put that into CBM PRG Studio and correct the one line that was throwing this error. It was turning the first line into the start of a different line, and for some reason threw every single other line into that line. I don't know why. And I also fixed the error that caused it, which was further down along the chain where I quoted O instead of a 0. They look similar, okay? They look similar. I'm not dyslexic. What are you talking about?
And so I continued my journey of an AI, and it didn't take real big achievement. It was done. I mean, I added a couple tweaks to the last version. I added a generation system, that way I knew how long it was running for. And in the future, I'm going to be adding a save function, so it saves the training process to the floppy disk and then can load that training back when you restart the program, so I can train it on a computer like my laptop and then put it on an actual Commodore 64.
Breaking news. My microphone is not plugged in. Bye.